Game Vengers. Today we have a very special guest. He is a voiceover actor, an actor, award-winning podcaster. With us, Shahjehan. Ken.
So,
Hello.
Hey,
What's up,
Shahjehan. How you
guys?
doing?
you're
Good.
really
How you
great.
doing?
We're doing amazing. We're doing amazing. We're having
Yeah.
a good day. I think that today it was it's one of those days that is normal, but it's exciting. So I went
hmm
just like my normal routine. I went to work, and then all day I've been thinking about, well, this interview is going to be good. It's
Awesome.
going to be good. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, man.
How about you?
Me
How was
too.
your day?
Me too. It was really good. I'm home. I'm kind of on a break for a couple of weeks from my biggest TV role yet. I can't talk
Wow.
about it, but it's gonna be really. I'm really excited about it. I'll tell you guys once we stop recording. But no, so I've been at home hanging with my wife and our cat and just seeing some concerts and watching TV and doing a little bit of random work, but mostly just procrastinating. You know,
Uh,
so
It's
feeling good.
always good to take some time
mhm.
after a
Yeah,
lot of work.
yeah,
For us, that I work in retail, so for me it's just a vacation.
yeah. Oh, my
For
mom is actually. So I grew up working in retail. So
yeah.
she's a manager of was a store called Lord and Taylor before it closed, and now Saks
Mhm.
Fifth Avenue. So she used to
Oh
give
wow.
me all sorts of discounts on my clothes growing up. She still does sometimes.
That's pretty awesome. I work for Under Armour,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so I love
Awesome.
the brand and the job, and
Great.
it's like that. I think that's a big perk, like the clothing and discount and all
Yeah,
that
man.
stuff. Plus the
I gotta hit,
environment
I,
of
I
people.
gotta hit you up for some gym clothes.
There you go. Yeah, whenever you're down in Florida, just stop by my store. We'll
Okay.
talk. You like coffee?
I don't.
No
But
tea?
I like tea. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You
No,
drink
no.
tea.
Let
I
me take
drink.
that back. I love coffee. I just can't
Okay.
drink. I just can't drink it anymore. I had to stop.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's perfect. That's
Okay.
perfect.
Chad Yahakam. How your family called you? Do you have any nickname or something short
They
of that?
usually. I mean, my sisters usually call me something like idiot or stupid. No,
I know that nickname.
yeah. No. I mean, my parents call Shah Jahan or I think my sisters call. So the word for brother is bhai. So they'll
Bye.
both of them will call me bhai. Shaj is something people will call me, which is I always tell people it's like the opposite of Josh, Shaj. But yeah, it's funny. Like Shah Jahan, it looks pretty much it's I think spelled like it sounds. So it's not
Mhm.
so bad. I think
Uh,
I don't have to tell you guys, but sometimes when people see names that they can't pronounce, they freak out or
Uh-huh.
whatever. You know what I
And
mean?
Chad had have a very, very, very meaning
It
that we
does.
will talk
Yeah.
about some later. But how do you started in the music and movies and acting industry,
Man,
Chad?
I honestly, since I was a kid, my father and mother are both big music fans, and they really encouraged us to play. And I mean, from a very young age, I was like, I just needed a lot of attention. I think so. Like I would put on shows like imitating my relatives and stuff, and then from there I started doing plays, and then I started with piano, and then eventually moved to guitar and stuff, and then I dropped out of college a bunch because I was a terrible student, and then started a band with another friend, and then the band became really serious for a really long time, and then somewhere in there I started acting too, and that stuff is all sort of it's I just turned 40 last year, and I think that's one of those times where a lot of people are like, oh my god, I'm 40, my life is over, but I honestly feel like my life is just beginning. So I've been very fortunate. I think that like every decade of my life has been better than the last. So
That's great.
That's a, I think that that's something normal that we all go through. So I'm
yeah,
37, and I'm
yeah,
about to turn 38, and
yeah,
I'm like, wow, when you look at the number, it's like,
sure,
oh my god, I'm 37. Wow, I look
yeah,
back when I was in my 15s, 18s, 20s, and I'm like, wait, it's only 37. I'm not I'm not that old. I
See, I
still
like
have a
that
lot
attitude,
to
man.
to
Yeah,
do to
yeah,
accomplish. I'm think I'm this is like the halfway point to like normal people,
yeah,
lifespan. So I
yeah.
still have a lot to do.
So I am
No,
the younger here, right?
okay.
We can
Are you
tell them.
7? You must be 17, 18.
Come on.
Are you gonna
I just
disclose your
bleached my
age
beard.
for Game Bangers? Are you gonna tell
I
us
just bleached
finally
my
your name?
beard. This is
Yeah.
bleach.
If I grow it out, mine is also gonna be so, yeah.
Okay.
So I trimmed it just for you guys. So, yeah.
So now that you mentioned about your band, the band, and and we were talking before starting the podcast about reggaeton and all that stuff, which you said you
Mm.
like reggaeton. It's pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
You have been in so many places with the band. You've been
Yeah.
in magazines like Rolling Stones and all that stuff, which is pretty cool, man. I feel that that's just that is an accomplishment. Um, as a musician, how do you feel and or what's the feeling that you have when you see that you go to A place, B place, different countries, cities, people, culture, and how they can connect with music? How do that feel?
That's a really great question, man. I think that what people probably say this a lot, but it is a very universal language. It's a universal way to express yourself. It's also really
Mhm.
special. So most of my music travels have to do with punk rock, in the punk rock community, and that in particular. And look, we were never some big famous band, but we did get to have had our sort of independent following, and we've gotten to go
Mhm.
play, like you said, all over the U.S. and Canada and Europe and Morocco, all sorts of places.
Wow.
And the great thing is that the communities that you build, and just like I'm sure we'll talk soon, but like the gaming community, the punk music community is very supportive, and I have made friends for life based on just hanging out with people after a show. For example, I just told you I'm filming a TV show in Chicago. I'm not important enough yet to be paid to stay in a hotel or anything yet, but it doesn't matter because like I have so many friends out there from punk rock shows that I have like 3 different people that I can just stay with, and I'm very lucky to have like lifelong friends like that all over the world, man. So I think that's definitely something I've seen through the power of music. I think with our band, particularly, we my punk band for the last 20 years, I play with some others now. We talk about lots of stuff, identity and politics and things, and being brown in America and stuff, and so that lends
Mhm.
itself also to to a kind of a feeling of solidarity and stuff with
Mhm.
people. So yeah, man, looking back on it, it's just been like it's all been really amazing. It's all part of like performing, and when you're a kid, you just dream of doing stuff like that, So in many ways, I'm still just like chasing all my childhood dreams.
And you're accomplishing most of them. Let's put it that way, because in music, yeah, like you said, like we were not like a big band, but
No, but look, we
you
were,
established
and it
great
doesn't matter.
relationships. Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't say
it's
that in a way,
experience.
obviously, like when you're, in your 20s, you're like, oh my God, like I have to be, and we did succeed a lot,
Mhm.
actually, like, but just because, whatever, we didn't sell millions of records, like we still got to play huge festivals and stuff. And so that's all I ever wanted.
Mhm.
I think artists, we all just want to leave some kind of an impact,
Mhm.
and I definitely have been fortunate to do that.
That's really amazing. We see that you're following in the music something that you love, and you, because sometimes people do music about the money, just
I
trying
definitely didn't do it
to
for the money.
it's all about the money, right? But sometimes
No.
people just get in the mind that's the first that they want the money, not following something that you can connect with the music.
Yeah.
You're the kind of people, you're the kind of guy that looks like you care most for connecting with the music, and then comes the money, So
Yeah, and honestly, even if it doesn't, like, I don't know, like that's just never, even if if I sat here and said that, I'm not saying money is not important to me. It's unfortunately this with capitalism, we all have to do this shit.
Yeah.
But if you honestly, if you look, I've probably have made terrible business decisions because of just doing stuff that I like, and like that is absolutely more, important to me, and so this, whether I like it or not, that's just kind of who I am.
I think the personal connections sometimes matter the most. At
Mhm.
least for me and Jesus. Me
I
living
think
in
that's also
Florida.
what you realize as you get older. Sorry, we were talking about aging, but just like
Yeah.
it doesn't, at the end of the day, like your relationships are what matter, your friendships are really what matter, so
So going to the king of the world.
mm.
That's what Shahjehan means, right?
Yes, it does
King of the
indeed.
world. That's
Thank you
your
guys, by the way,
name.
for doing all the research. I appreciate when people
That's
take it.
what's your name. Tell us more about the king of the world. That podcast is it's really inspiring, and I tell people that have to listen it about it, because it's really a great series. Have you ever think about going or making a movie about it? Because it's an interesting journey, man.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate you listening. Look, it is my life story, and our
Hmm.
company was kind enough to like give me a platform to put it out. And when we did it, we didn't know what we were doing. Again, like we just sort of like decided that we wanted to make a podcast, and then we did it. And then I think people connected with it because it is a very real story of growing up, in post 9/11 America. Um, and all these things, wrapped up in it, identity and music and, my own journey with addiction and all this
Hmm.
stuff. Um, but yeah, it's, I think I mean, I got Shahjehan as my given name from birth. And, as I think I probably joke in the podcast, when your parents name you that, like, they're expecting a lot, and it's fun. I'm so lucky. I've such a very, very close with my family and stuff now. And they're also, as you've heard, they're in the, I couldn't have done it
Hmm.
without them. Um, but yeah, that whole, it's interesting I've had a lot of struggles in life, and if anybody wants to hear about them, you can hear about all of them in the podcast.
Uh-huh.
If you have 7 hours, you could hear my whole life story. But basically, like, yeah, through each one, there's been these little eras, I think, in my life, periods of 5 to 10 years of struggle and change, and then growth and self-realization and actualization or whatever. And that's why I say again, when I take a bird's eye view and look back at my life, and it's not hard to feel grateful, especially when I'm wrapped up in some selfish bullshit or whatever I'm worried about. Like, to just be like, hang on,
Hmm.
man, wait a minute, like, it's all good, dude. Just relax. Like, things are going to work themselves out.
A lot of people, and this is good for everybody that's listening to this podcast through Apple Music, Spotify, Audible, um, iHeartRadio. It's that you don't have to be, for example, in this case, Shahjehan is telling his story as a Muslim living in the U.S. You don't have to be a Muslim in the U.S. to listen to this great, amazing story.
Hmm.
Well, tell, fantastic. It's fantastic. The edit and how it's done, and
Amazing.
and your voice, it is so like there, and you feel that when I was listening to it, I was looking at myself sitting just talking to you, and having you telling me this story. So my experience listening to your podcast was amazing. And there's a lot of people and folks that are not in the same page, let's put it, if I can tell it like that.
Yeah.
But they're not from the US. For example, I'm from Puerto Rico, and I moved 8 years to Florida. And I can just say, tell like, oh, this, I can relate to this in
Can
some
connect with
point,
that.
and I
Hmm.
can connect, or also understand others, because sometimes we're just enclosing our small little bubble, just thinking
Mhm.
about ourselves, and now not how we can impact our surroundings, or the people around us, or the people that work for us or with us, or neighbors or none of that stuff. So listening to your story was like I said, it was amazing. It was very like inspiring and motivating, and I think that we need more podcasts like that too.
Thank you, man. No, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you saying that, and that's something that I didn't. I don't think any of us expected necessarily. Like when we made the thing, you know, we
Mhm.
maybe had a particular not agenda, but like audience in
Mhm.
mind. Like, you know, these are the
Mhm.
people that will relate. But I think similarly to like my band, even like you said, it ends up becoming a more universal story that so many like anybody can relate to, and
Mhm.
that's something I definitely didn't expect, and it's still to this day, you know, I still get a lot of messages and stuff about that, so that's really cool. And thank you guys, I really like for listening to it. That means a lot to me.
Right. How was that creative process of that kind of podcast and series?
Yeah, so the company that made it is called Rafaelion Media. It was started by a childhood friend of mine. He approached me, a year after COVID, and and he was like, "Look, I've started this media company. I kind of want to do some podcast." And we'd been following each other's careers. And he was like, he had started one other sort of just interview show, but he wanted to do something a little bit bigger. And so again, it was just initially it was just two of us, and then the company grew to 5 to 7 other people that ended up helping. Like we had a great sound designer and other editors and writers and stuff that would help. Once we decided that, initially he, for example, had wanted to do more of a news focused one
Hmm.
only on the 20th, just because it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Essentially, that was what the
Uh-huh.
motivating factor was. 2021
Mhm.
was the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and then we decided that like maybe if I told my story side by side, like the way that I always tell this is that he was like, okay, the first thing that we should do is why don't you just make a little Excel spreadsheet and just in on the left side just put all the years 2001, 2002, 3, 4 all the way to 21, and then next to it in the next column just write like what happened that year. And so I'm just like in there filling in what's going on. And then we had another meeting. He's like, all this shit really happened to you, dude. Maybe we should this, and that's kind of where and then we just started writing it. I would focus on my narrative stuff, and I did pretty much all the interviews, and we just figured it out as we went. Like we didn't really have necessarily a strategy. We just kind of did it in a punk sort of way, or not DIY way, and just figured out our own process. And the company has since grown, and we're doing a couple of other ones now, which are really, really exciting. So yeah, it just was really cool to tell a new, learn a new skill. And then at the same time, I remember when it finally started to feel like something was when, each episode had 8 to 10 drafts or something. And then finally, when we would
Well,
sit and start to record them, and I would sit and just read my story to myself in my dark closet, while he's listening. Uh, and then I really started to feel like this was something. And then I remember from the first audio edit of the first episode, I think we got some chills, and we were like, oh my god, this is like, at least we were proud. If nobody listens to it, like whatever, but like we knew we had made something good.
And it
yeah.
was amazing. It was great. I'm telling you, like
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
way
it's a really an amazing
it's the
story.
feeling that you get, by listening and to this story. And like I said, the way that he edited, it's great. It's something well done. It's not just for those that don't know and haven't listened to this yet. It's not just Shahjehan just talking. It's
Right.
not that you get some. You feel like you're in a place. Let's put it that way.
It's the
Behind the
complete
scenes.
story.
Mhm. And it's an award-winning podcast.
It is, yeah, man.
Really?
Never expected to be nominated and win all the awards that we did, and so super cool.
How do you feel though about it? How does it feel?
Man, it was unbelievable. It was very surreal. We actually got to go to a live, so that like for films, there's the Oscars, and for that whatever, and like so there's an academy now for podcasting. It's in its 3rd or 4th year, so it's their sort of equivalent, and they're called the Ambi Awards. So we actually got nominated for So I got nominated for best host alongside, like, it was our little company, and then all the big ones like NPR and Wondery and like Malcolm Gladwell, all these people. So we were nominated for that, and then also for sound design. So our sound designer Mark Anato, and again, best production, and and look, we just got nominated, and we were just like there, and it was crazy to like be at a real awards show, So, and then we won a whole host of other ones, like we won a bunch of other ones whose names are eluding me right now, but yeah, man, it's still unbelievable. I can't believe it's been 2 years already since the thing's been out, or 3 actually.
Some of moving from the podcast, which was amazing. We already talked about music. Um, I I know that there's a lot of people in our community that are gonna get excited for this next topic because we have a lot of movies and TV shows fans and people that are into this. And shout out to my friend Emmanuel Dragolink. He actually have a podcast about movies and TV shows and all that stuff, which is pretty awesome. Um, some of your right, you're an actor,
Yep.
and some of your projects include some great names, and one of them is Don't Look Up,
Yep.
which personally saw and I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Murder at the Blackthorn Manor,
Uh-huh.
and the HBO show Succession, which
Yes.
I saw that, and that interaction that you have in that show, it was very funny for me. The guy turned around and he said the word, and so if you can tell us a little bit about this shows and how you land these roles, and what was the process, and also this is career defining moments, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that you probably feel like before this and after this project, and then I land this. Um, which one you enjoy the most, and actually which one you recommend or Game Bangers fan to go and watch now?
Oh, wow. I mean, so I have been some kind. I think I mentioned this earlier. Like, I've been performing since I was very young in plays and in school plays and things. And after when I was in the first sort of wave after my band, we started doing a bunch of stuff. So I was about 27 when I got sober. Okay, and it's been about 13 years now. And
Congratulations.
I thank you very much. And I had to sort of take a step back from music and just everything and reassess my life and all that. And um, about a year or so, or a year or 2 years into that journey, I found myself back in the world of acting. I joined like a local community theater troupe, and so and it was always something that I was interested in doing. And so and that was in 2014. So it's been just about 10 years, I would say now, that I've been pursuing this kind of seriously. And I say that just because it's like the last 2 or 3 years, things have started to happen a little bit faster, but it has been a really long, process. Um, but yeah, I just started like, doing these plays in Boston. I joined this theater troupe that was actually started by actors that are also sober, that are in recovery from drugs and alcohol. And we would do small plays, like community plays in middle schools and high schools and things. And the cool thing is we would tour, and we would do hundreds of shows every year. So it was a steady source of income, and it was a great way to just like get that confidence back. And then from there, like Boston is so I live in Boston. It's a small enough community where it's not a huge market at all, like New York or LA, although it's growing a lot. Everybody sort of knows everyone, and so I figured out how to get an agent, and so then I started doing corporate videos and little things, and actually diversity training videos. I always joke that my first like real acting job that I got paid for was a video where it's like a work thing where they're trying to train people to not be like racist assholes. And so it's like a scene about this guy so he's fasting because he's Muslim and it's Ramadan, and the coworkers just don't understand that he's fasting, and the whole scene is just he leaves his desk, and then a coworker comes back and he leaves, and he's like, "Oh, you won't even come to Rob's birthday party and have cake with us? Come on, you gotta, you know." And so then he leaves, so I leave, and then I come back, and then there's just a piece of cake at my desk, and I'm just supposed to like frown, and that's so it's like I started doing silly stuff like that, but it gets you practicing and moving forward, and then from there, like it many years of just doing that sort of stuff, man. And then slowly kind of doing student films, with student filmmakers. Like we've got great film schools in Boston at BU and Emerson, and students, young people that do a lot of really great work. And so then kind of like working with them, and then, even doing some stuff in New York. So New York, for example, I'd been going a lot with my band, so I knew people there, and I kind of like once I started acting, people would put me in their short films or whatever. And then, around the time of when we started our podcast, that was when that movie Don't Look Up came to Boston. It was one of I think the bigger ones that came in the last few years because it had so many of these A-list people in it. And in there, I had just quit my, I was in the process of quitting my day job. I also I have a master's in community psychology, and I worked in behavioral health consulting for a while. And it was, but it was the kind of job where I just felt a little creatively stifled. I had been sober for a while, and I was looking to do something more creative. So on the weekends, I started driving a delivery van, just for extra money, but also just to kind of like clear my head and like do something else. Mm-hmm. And that January, I think, was when I booked this featured extra, so no lines role, but in this huge movie. And I didn't even, and because it was during COVID, we actually had to sequester in hotels for 8 days before the shoot.
Wow.
And none of us knew exactly we knew that the scene would be something big, but it really wasn't until the day that we got there that they told us, and we saw that it was with everybody in the movie. So it was just, and I'm in there for 1 second, I was there for a 10-hour day. But I was on the set with, like, just sitting across from me is Leonardo DiCaprio, and then Meryl Streep is here, and then all these people, that you grow up watching, and you just are just like, and also for me, at least, I was absolutely terrified. I didn't have to say anything, luckily. So I knew that my job was to just be there and not make a fool of myself. But that, like, that definitely like awakened the drive, or reinforced it, to be like, dude, I really want to figure out a way to do this. And later, so that happened. And then later that year, I booked a couple of big films in Boston, one of which was this Lifetime movie that you mentioned, Murder at Blackthorn Manor, where I basically play this like creepy real estate agent. And it's a fun murder mystery. There's also another big action movie, which I had a big part in. I'm not sure what the release plan is. Sometimes they make them and they don't release them for a while. It's called Aftermath. And so those were these two really big things. And then from there, I got a manager, and that really changed the game. So her name's Melissa, and she's a New York and LA manager. And she's the one that has really taken the career to the next level for me by leaps and bounds. And it was after signing with her, I went from doing maybe one audition a month or two to doing 5 a week for TV and all sorts of things. And then it was a couple of months after that Succession came. I had 3 different auditions for it. Again, you do, by this point, I've done thousands of auditions in my life. It's not even it's just a numbers game. Like you just detach yourself from all the rejection and all that, and you just keep going, and you never think, I don't know, I never have expectations anymore. And so when that actually happened, obviously it was one of my favorite shows, at the time. It was the biggest show on TV, like the biggest. And I couldn't believe that it really happened. And then I got to spend a week there, and, and each little thing, it was my first TV gig. Like, what a first TV gig to have, this show. And not just that, like, they didn't, and originally my character wasn't supposed to have a name. They gave him a name. Even when you go, sometimes you record stuff, you don't know if they're going to cut you out, especially if you're just like a minor person. But not only did they keep the character in, like, it was actually a really cool scene. and like a memorable enough scene that when you tell people like, oh yeah, I remember Tom called you an asshole. And, you know,
Yep.
yeah.
Turn around.
And
Yeah,
then
that was me. That was me.
I'm playing.
yeah, man. And then also like he got Len, this character who I played. People made a Reddit thread just about him, you know, trying, you know, so like
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's been my life has been a lot of hard work, a lot of struggle, but also when you reap the rewards after the work, you know, it feels a lot better. And I you know, and I don't say this to be like whatever arrogant, but I do truly feel like I'm reaping the rewards of all this hard work that I put in. And look, it doesn't like this is a very there's no guarantee. Mostly it doesn't work. So any like anything that you get is just, you know, good fortune, and it's a combination of work and timing and luck and all these things, you know.
Mhm.
So and yeah, I really wish I could tell you about this project I'm doing right now, but I can't.
Maybe off camera.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you guys off camera. Yeah, sure.
Do you feel that in the path that you're going, you are getting to where you want to be, or what is like your end goal, like where you want to really be?
I think so, man. My goal is to be able to just do the things that I like, all of them, and just do each of them a little bit and just survive. That's all I want, man. And if I just spend a few weeks or months touring with a band every year, I'm happy. Last year I started doing that again with my new band. Acting wise, I just want to do cool, interesting stuff. You know, this year I've already done one really great short film. I'm doing this amazing TV show that I'm going to tell you guys about as soon as we stop recording. I would love, you know, obviously, who doesn't want to be like a lead actor in something, like, you know, that's definitely a goal. I'd love to keep expanding myself as a voiceover artist. You know, I love narrating audiobooks. I have yet to do any video games as a voice actor, so hopefully can do some of that before the robots take everything over.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just want to be like healthy, you know, like that's a big
Mhm.
thing with me.
That's
So
the most important thing.
yeah, and you know, it would be nice if me and my wife and my cat could like find like a decent place to live. So we're getting there too.
Chad, what the kind of movie that you would love to work most? Comedy, action, drama. What kind of movies?
Honestly, like if you had first asked me this when I first hopped into stuff 10 years ago, I probably would have said only drama, you know, like intense. Like a really good example of one of my favorite films in the recent past is this film called Nightcrawler from 2012. It has two of my favorite actors. Just like intelligent, thoughtful, independent sort of drama films.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've realized about myself that I am quite an adaptable actor. I didn't think this, you know, you never, at least for me, like you always think less of yourself so that you temper your expectations. But like, I'd actually love to do all of the above. And now that I did this action movie, whether or not it comes out or not, like it was
Huh?
pretty fucking cool. So like, I'd love to do another one of those. I'm currently doing this comedy TV series, which is just absolutely hilarious and fun. So I'd love to keep doing that kind of stuff. So, and I also this year I actually had to, in order to do this TV show, I did get my first book. I was offered a big role in a big touring Broadway show, which
Oh, that's
for
great.
the first time ever in my life, I had to turn down because I've never turned it, you know, I've never been in that position before, but it was a goal of mine to do some Broadway theater,
Mhm.
and it was just really cool. And it was actually one of my favorite books growing up as a kid too. So it was just really cool and very validating to know that I'm good enough for that, you know? So yeah, sorry to answer your question, man. I'm down to do whatever. Like I want to just keep trying stuff.
Uh-huh.
You know?
I think that the what I've seen from you, it's that it's the no matter which role you're playing, they all feel different, and they all
Mhm.
feel that you can do it. It's not
Yeah.
that they don't feel forced. You
Yeah, and
know.
that's kind of something I think I've realized about myself. I think, and maybe this is because I'm not trained in the sense that I didn't go to school for acting and stuff.
Mhm,
So I think I do bring a lot of me to every. There's some actors that are
mhm.
specifically. I'm actually probably getting these fucking terms wrong, but actors that like are characters and like they're like a totally different person in
Mhm,
everything. There's that. I don't know if that's me, but I haven't tried it yet. I think I'm probably more of someone who is like himself, but in various different iterations. So
mhm.
that's kind of where I see myself going.
About your band, you have a new band, right?
Yeah. So my punk band is called the Caminas.
The
We
Caminas.
The Caminas, yeah,
Uh huh.
Kominas. We don't do that much anymore. We started back in 2004. We've got 5 albums out there. We've done a bunch of touring.
No.
Um, the current band I play with is called Ravi Shavi, RAVISHAVI, and they're based in Providence. They're like an indie rock, garage rock kind of super fun band. And I also play in like and the guys in that band have all these other side projects and things, and so this past summer I spent touring with the lead singer, one of the lead singer, one of the main composers in the band,
Mhm.
Rafe Rashid. He made a solo record called Kitchen Weapons, which is kind of like it's almost like a David Bowie sort of thing going on with
Mhm.
it. um so I was in the touring ensemble for that, which also has members of there's a big folk rock band from the US called Deer Tick. So we spent the summer on the road with them, and yeah, we're actually so Ravi Shavi's planning on doing a new record this year as soon as I'm done gallivanting doing my TV stuff. So I should be back around to do that stuff. But yeah, my music is my first love. Like I'll always play. My guitar's sitting right there, um, and I just did a
So
little.
you're the guitar player.
Yeah, actually, so in Ravi Chevy, there's three guitarists.
Uh
So
huh.
I'm like
Three guitar.
guitarist number three. Yeah, I came a couple years ago, and it's interesting because I try to like because when you're in a punk band, it was two guitars. We're all just kind of playing a lot all the time, and with the punk band, we weren't just punk. We were more like I think good comparisons would be Bad Brains and Dead Kennedys and The Clash. So there are different sonic things going on than just straightforward loudness. But in this band, I think I play more of like atmospheric kind of guitar. And then definitely in the Kitchen Weapons project, although I'm not on the recordings yet of Rubby Shovey and Kitchen Weapons, but when we play
Mhm.
live, I especially with Kitchen Weapons, I tend to try to mimic the sounds of synthesizers and horns and violins and stuff. So yeah.
So how some of your playlists on Spotify looks like?
Oh, some of
What
like
kind of music do you like?
do I like? Oh man,
Uh-huh.
that's great. I mean, dude, everything from Bad Bunny to like
Really?
Bunny baby.
Turnstile. I love Bad Bunny. My dude, yeah, Bad Bunny, Tiny.
Ooh,
Um,
tiny.
definitely this hardcore band Turnstile. I'm a huge fan. I like atmospheric ambient music, so electronic stuff too. DJ Shadow and Aphex Twin and all these people, and then uh, I don't know, all sorts of stuff, dude. I love hip hop too, like old school hip hop. I like there's a I like a lot of different stuff. I think like growing up, it was basically three things: Jimi Hendrix,
Uh-huh.
Rage Against the
Ooh.
Machine,
Yeah.
and Pink Floyd. I think those were the three. Um, and I think things have broadened a lot for me, you know. So, and then also all the classical like Pakistani music that I grew up with, music from the Indian subcontinent to all the stuff that comes from my father, and
You mentioned Rage
That's
Against the Machine,
oh my god, yeah.
and man, it's so amazing. And
That was my
it's
first
crazy.
real concert. Man, my mom took us to see a Rage Against the Machine concert. We
uh-huh.
What?
saw them on
Really?
the Battle of Los Angeles tour. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
And then I saw them
so
again I was supposed to see them. So we were sophomores in high school. Then they broke up when we were seniors for the first time. They were supposed to tour with the Beastie Boys, and we all bought tickets, and we all were so pissed when they broke up. We were so angry. We were so depressed. And then they reunited in 2007, I think, for a little while, and we all our high school friends, we went back to see them again. And then it looked, and we were trying to see them last year, but then it didn't work out because of COVID or whenever they were supposed to come play in Boston. And now it looks like they may have broken up again, but who knows? So yeah.
So you're a hardcore fan.
I can still play every single. I imitate. I have my entire guitar sound and setup was based on Tom Morello. I bought all the same pedals. I can still play every single Rage Against the Machine from him, like no problem. Yeah.
Growing up in Puerto Rico, obviously, we grew up listening to a lot of Latin music, a lot of salsa, a lot of merengue, bachata. Obviously, growing up, reggaeton was starting to be something in the 90s. But I remember, and I know a lot of fellow gamers are going to agree on me with this one. I grew up in the east side of Puerto Rico. It's like a coast, an area in the northeast. There's a few towns and cities called Luquillo, Fajardo. So surfing is a big culture there. My uncle used to play in the car like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and we changed to Bob Marley and a lot of this type of English music. But something that really got me into listening to a lot of this punk music, and I started to get more familiar with a lot of these bands, was the Tony Hawk games.
Oh yeah, man! I used to play Tony Hawk too when I was a kid. Absolutely, we would skip school and just play. Yeah,
amazing soundtrack.
Yeah.
And a lot of these bands, I got to know them because of the Tony Hawk game. So that's why I know, Rage Against the Machine. Yeah.
You just reminded me of, we would drive back home during our lunch periods, and we would always make the same macaroni and cheese and put hot sauce on it, and then we would just play Tony Hawk. That's like all we would do. So, and with reggaeton also, so my band Caminas, we technically wrote based on a reggaeton beat. So this would have been early 2000s. It's a song that we have called Munji Vich Dong. It's on our album Escape to Blackout Beach, which is, the beat is reggaeton, but we're trying to fuse reggaeton and punk and stuff. And so,
that's great.
Yeah.
Reggaeton has come so long way.
Absolutely.
And it's something that in Puerto Rico, I don't know if you know this, reggaeton was an underground music.
Yeah, so I have one extremely good friend from he's from Puerto Rico originally, Enrique. He used to be the front man for this hardcore band Los Bangalitos. You ever heard of them? They're like an underground band from Lowell, Massachusetts, and they've done a couple of tours in Puerto Rico, but this is exactly what he told me about reggaeton.
Yeah, it was underground music. They used to record like one section
on tapes,
and this tape they used to like multiply this and just sell it in the like in projects and in barrios and all this stuff. That's how reggaeton started.
Yeah,
and before reggaeton, it was more
cool.
like a dance hall and some hip hop and all that stuff. So
yeah.
From that to
Bad Bunny,
now, Daddy Yankee with Gasolina and Despacito.
Yeah,
so it's crazy how something small start and what is has become. And you're talking about the type of music that you play and your culture, and you saying, oh no, I like reggaeton and Bad Bunny and this. You can tell that this music have grown and mature with times.
How does that, I'm just curious, how does that make you feel? Like, is it something is it great? Is it also kind of like, these people don't really know what they're talking about because they only listen to the new shit? Like, does part of you, I don't know if you feel that way at all, or?
So I think most of us Puerto Ricans, people that like and don't like Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Because it's normal. You're always going to like something.
I know.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We are very proud of everything that has to be with Puerto Rico. So it doesn't matter if it's music, sports, acting, movies, and all this. And we're very proud of every time Puerto Rico name is out there.
Mm-hmm.
So and we have so many great singers. Jennifer Lopez, and we got Mark Anthony. Again, it's look, Hamilton. you know.
Yeah.
So it's all about, okay, Puerto Rico name is there, okay, we're proud.
Yeah.
We're always gonna feel proud no matter what.
Mhm.
And it makes us feel good and happy coming from a 100-mile island
Yeah, man.
to all these great things in the world, and sharing our culture and our food and things like that with the rest of the world. It feels amazing. I'm very
Yeah.
proud of a lot of things, even though I don't listen to some music, or I may not like some actors. I always feel proud that someone that came from this small island, that if you have never been in Puerto Rico, I recommend you to, just visit
Oh,
once,
I'm
because you're
dying
gonna
to.
have a great
Mhm.
I
time.
really am. Yeah.
It feels great.
Yeah.
Trust me, it
I
feels
just,
great.
I think 2 months ago, I think I had the best mofongo I've had
Oof.
in
Really?
Massachusetts. Yeah, in a town called Methuen.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, dude! I'm gonna go. It was this bar called Tequila, Tekila, and they had like a live kind of traditional band. Just a super party. Like you didn't feel like you were in Boston, or you just felt like you were somewhere else, and it was amazing. So yeah, I'm a big
Ah, that's
fan of
great.
food. I love eating. So yeah.
So in one of the town that I grew up, Luquillo, there's over 50 kiosks. They're one next to another.
Mhm.
Okay.
Triple kiosk.
Oh
Every single one of them. Some of them repeat some food, right?
yeah.
I would say that over 80% of them have different type of food,
Ah, very unique.
Oh my
and
god.
it's great. And then you have the beach in the back, and they
Yeah.
all have. You can come into the front and the back, and every single kiosk the back is open, because you can just go to the beach and
Yeah.
just have fun. It's amazing town. It's great.
I would love to visit sometime.
So we'll invite you. We'll invite
Dude,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
God,
You're
yes.
welcome here.
I'm sold.
Just about the food.
So how you got food? Let's go, mofongo.
Let's move to gaming.
Sure.
You were working some big game.
Yeah, some little game nobody's ever heard of, you know.
MG is a huge fan of that game. So how can you tell us a little about Mortal Kombat? Mortal Kombat 1, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man. What do you want to know?
How you get involved in that? How was that?
It's been a wild experience. It's funny. So in Chicago is also where NetherRealm Studio is, and it's
Uh-huh.
also where I'm shooting this TV show. And I
Okay.
just got to meet Quan Chi's body.
Uh-huh.
So I'm the face. I got to meet all. So they were having a little like party for the mocap actors and stuff, and I got to go sort of meet some of them. And man, yeah. So a few years ago, for people that don't know, I got this random offer from my modeling agent for some mysterious video game. They wanted to scan my face. They wouldn't tell us what it was until we signed a contract and stuff. And so again, I'm a I'm a full-time creative, so I'm
Uh-huh.
always need money. So I was like, all right, let's do this. And yeah, it turned out to be, and then we did eventually figure out what it was, and then we signed some more contracts and all that. But yeah, then I got to go to become the face of Quan Chi in what we now know as Mortal Kombat 1. Um, the the game came out I think teasers started this past summer is when they started.
Mhm.
So I actually went in to do the work a couple of years before that. Um, so it's sort of a secret I had been holding for quite some time. Uh, and then yeah, it just started all the and again, and I didn't know that it was going to be like I thought it would be maybe more of a combined likeness between me and Richard, the previous
Mhm.
character and stuff. And so when it finally came out and when the actual trailers and the gameplay stuff dropped, so between that and Succession, I don't know which thing my friends and family think is cooler, because I think both. So Succession, obviously, biggest TV show ever. Mortal Kombat, like I used to play Mortal Kombat when I was a kid. So it's in terms of like being part of something that will live beyond any of us. that's something that I'm still sort of understanding how to grasp, because it's like it's really cool. Like I wish I had another way to describe it. I have, since like we were joking that I'm not very good at video games. I don't play them that much anymore. I have played as Quan Chi finally.
Ah.
I've gotten my ass kicked and stuff a few times. But it's, I don't know, man. It's like I used to play this game when I was a kid. Like there's no way I could have ever imagined that I would have anything to do with it, let alone literally be the face of one of these major, characters. So it's wild. I'm still trying to figure out like what it all means. It's one other really cool thing that has happened to me specifically in the last 2 years for my career. These things have sort of like lined up seemingly, that like I'm not just like, oh yeah, I do this and that and this and that. So it makes it a lot easier for my manager to pitch me, as somebody that people should hire. So yeah.
How was that approach? You didn't any of the mocap, right?
No.
They scan your face.
Here's my face, man. Yeah. So the whole thing took 45 minutes. I sat there.
Wow.
I took 9 different pictures, and then I was done. So
wow,
that was it.
That's the future, man.
It is. It's a scary. But it's interesting, and I'm sure you guys know this better than I do, that this game has, scanning and stuff has been going on since for a very long time.
The first one.
So people have been thinking about these things for a while, but it is interesting how, this one character is sort of an amalgamation of 5 different people. This me, and also the voice is another a really great talented voice actor named Sean Krishnan, who also, interestingly enough, we haven't ever met in real life, but he's also a bald brown guy like me. So it's kind of hilarious that like so he's the face, I'm the face, he's the voice. I met this other dude who was the body. I met a different person who was like doing the mocap and stuff. So I think it's cool that there's all these the labor is kind of like divided up that way. And look, man, it remains to be seen. Obviously, like there's a whole other discussion about AI and all these things and what it means for actors. Obviously, we're all terrified. Are we all going to have jobs? Like if they can do this, like who needs us in the first place?
How do you feel about the recent strike of actors and all this stuff, AI, and all this process that you do in this video game?
Yeah. So I mean, I think like any other, I would be lying if I said it's not something that I think about and that I worry about, especially because it's only, I think, recently that my career has at least been taking off a little bit. But more just for the wider industry as a whole. Like, I think that like one thing that's clear is whether we like it or not, this is here, so we do have to figure out what, we have to, and that's kind of like what the strikes and stuff were about. And, it's, I think it's cool that people are thinking about it, that people, that actors unions did make, they got a little bit of what they were looking for. They had to compromise in some other places. I think down the line, we are going to have to figure out in all these sorts of models, whether even, as musicians too, like when streaming came out, like that's something that one of my bandmates helped start this musicians union of musicians and allied workers that has been fighting, with Spotify to try to get like a fair streaming, setup. So, technology keeps evolving. And as creators, I think it's because we're not always like money and business focused, we're thinking more about the art form and stuff like that. I think it's sort of, I'm not sure, honestly, like what it all means, I think that like, we just have to keep making stuff. I'm not sure if, I don't know, dude. It's like, I can't say I'm completely, I obviously like the world's not going to end or whatever, but like we do have to think about it. And I think that things are going to be changing very quickly, so it's going to be interesting to see how the industry keeps up. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, talk to me in 12 months and see if see what I'm doing then.
You got 6 pictures that scan your face, and look how much they got
Yeah,
from that. Like the
yeah,
game have hours of footage,
yeah.
and and everything, all the facial animations
Everything.
and
Yeah, and it's not, and
everything.
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, and it's weird. That's the weird. It's cool. It's scary. It's all these things together. I don't want, and I made sort of uh, a TikTok with this local guy in Massachusetts, Matt Shearer for WBZ News, where I was hoping to make sure that people understand that I still completely like it's just so cool to be in it, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to address these issues in a funny way because that's the best way that And so I have some ideas with some other friends of mine, like my headshot photographer Richard Pizzuti. We have some ideas down the line to maybe just make some funny sort of like PSAs with Quan Chi, if he's So we've got some ideas about how to think about this stuff. But for the time being, I don't know. I did get invited to the PAX convention this year. Unfortunately, I can't go. I was
Oh,
gonna go. I started to make this
Uh-huh.
call, so I
I'll go
started
with
to.
you. I'll drive.
My buddy actually makes he's a 3D printer. He has a studio called Give Wave, and he started making me Quan Chi stuff. And then this TV show, unfortunately, is going to take me away from it. But I'm still getting the costume. I'm sure there's going to be like other opportunities
Sure,
to
maybe all the
use it.
time.
Because just like with music, man, I think it's the people like you guys are like what is more interesting than any of the other stuff
Mm-hmm.
around it. So yeah.
So
What do you guys? I mean, what do you
you
guys
you
think
were
about AI and stuff in terms of being podcasters and all this stuff? Like, what do you think?
Well, I'm a man artist, and I use it like I incorporating it as part of my job. I use it to make images or something to creative or expand my creative ideas. Um, like you said, we have to to make it part of our life because this is the future.
Yeah.
I think that it's mostly how you use it. I
Yes.
Mhm.
think that if you're not putting your creative mind into an effort into something that you want to create with AI, you're not doing nothing. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's just letting the AI doing the job for you.
Yeah.
But I think that there's some artists that use it to, I don't know, correct uh, some writing, or maybe to correct some pictures that they want to, draw something and they're missing, or they're not as good as other artists doing, I don't know, hey, a face, or I don't know, a hair or something like that, and they can use it to make it better.
Yeah.
It all depends in how you use it, but it, do I see AI taking over all actors and all that? It's hard to tell,
Mhm.
because as long as they're gonna be people like us doing
Yeah.
podcasts,
Mhm.
acting, writing, drawing, animating, or anything, I don't think that's not gonna be a problem, because there's always gonna be people that are gonna support real people and
Yeah.
not
That and
just
that
the
that's a great
the
point, man. And I think I agree with you there because like the stuff that's interesting to me as a creative has always been, how can people do things without gatekeepers in the way, like so whether it's you know s-
Hmm?
uh, being able to record music on your own, on a laptop. Like 20 years ago you would have had to go to a studio, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Mhm.
if that empowers someone to like be able to do something that couldn't do it before, I think that's really cool. And I think also what you're saying is like, I assume this is what you're saying is like the good stuff will rise to the top,
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
like the kind of like whatever stuff is not gonna, it just won't be as good. So,
Yeah. Going to Mortal Kombat, because I'm very passionate about
oh yeah,
this game. I think this is it's one of my first video game. I remember I mentioned this multiple times. I got a Super Nintendo. My mom
yep,
got me Super Mario, and my dad got me Mortal Kombat.
amazing. My parents got me Super Nintendo. They got me Super Mario, and they got me this game Joe and Mac. Those were the
Oh,
two that we.
great! Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You remember
amazing
that game?
games. going back, we had the opportunity to have Richard Division here in the podcast. He is the original actor for Kano.
Mhm.
It's crazy because you said that this new Quan Chi is like five people.
Hmm.
And at that time in the 90s, for example, Richard was Kano, Baraka, Quan Chi, and Cabal. And
Wow.
obviously, all these people, the Pesina brothers, and Anthony Marquez, which is Kung Lao, and all these actors that were working in this game with Ed Boon when it was in the making, the technology was similar to AI, so they got scanned like into the game, which is
Mhm.
something that people say, "Oh, this is new." No, this is something that have been done for a
Yeah.
while now.
Hmm.
So all these people put their likeness into this game and put the obviously their body and all that, and it's crazy how that has evolved into now. So it's just like you have the face and the other guy's the voice, and like
Yeah.
it's how crazy how these have evolved,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not, and pretty sure that AI will come and they will use AI for some of these things in the future. But how do you see the differences, right, of the creative process that you were part of it versus what these guys, which for the Mortal Kombat community are or basically our childhood heroes,
Mhm.
um, and their creatives, like it's very different. How do you feel that can
It's
it
interesting
differ
actually.
or
Yeah, so when you say it like that, I wonder if I feel if I'm honest as you're speaking right now,
Mhm,
I feel like maybe something is lost, for having me just sort of come in for 45 minutes, do my thing, someone who, to be honest with you, isn't that involved in the community, and just sort
mhm,
of comes, does this thing, and then all of a sudden, like, here I am. I'm glad to be here. I'm on this podcast and I'm representing this thing, but because I'm not intimately involved with it from the beginning,
mhm,
maybe that's a little weird, and maybe that's a little, and maybe that's, and I can definitely understand the perspective of, and again, I've never met Richard, but maybe it's weird as hell for him probably to be like, yo, who the hell is this new dude? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Coming in like, what the hell? Uh,
mhm,
so in that sense, I mean, I guess like I would, compare it to, oh yeah, I'll compare it to this. I had left my band for a few years to get sober, and in that time, they did another album that I wasn't on, and they were touring for a couple of years without me. Playing the songs that I helped write, and I was
Hmm.
pretending that I was fine, and I wasn't jealous and I wasn't resentful, and I was like, look, I'm moving on. I'm doing other stuff with my life, but deep down inside, like, I remember downloading the new album that they made, and it was really good. And, like, it was I thought it was better than any of the ones that I had done, like, I thought the songs were cooler, and so there was this part of me that was like, "Shit, man, like, I created something and now it's not mine anymore." And I wonder, and I've actually never even thought this or said this, I'm just in the moment, and the way that you asked me this
mhm,
question brought this up for me, that maybe there's something, not possessiveness, but you sort of feel a sense of ownership over something that you've been a part of, and it's part of your
mhm,
legacy. Um, and if it can sort of be so easily taken away, maybe that takes away some of the specialness of it. Now, on the other side of that, as I said, this has been a really cool opportunity for me to reconnect with this thing that I was into as a kid, and come back and, like, you know sh- be shown and show some appreciation for this really cool community that's out there. Um, so I can, I'm always somebody that tries to see all the different, I think, different ways to look at stuff, you know?
mhm.
So I feel, does that kind of answer your question?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, and it's pretty cool, and I have to obviously I agree with you because time change.
Yeah.
Time, the way create, creativity and how things are done. They evolve. Um, that a lot of people in the Mortal Kombat community. which have like to have some involvement of these people that started this with what has become 12 game master, of course, because a
Sure.
lot of them stopped
Mhm.
working in around Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat 4.
I see.
So some of them, even they went into legal
Yep.
things that those behind the curtain things that happen.
Yep. Yep.
um, and but a lot of people ask that. It's like why these people cannot be the coach or can be the, I don't know, involved with future, even though they're not the like characters anymore or things like it's just their involvement
Hmm.
on this future. But also it's great to see there's other people that have gotten the opportunity to play other characters. For example, in this game you have Megan Fox.
Hmm.
Who thought that Megan Fox was gonna be a character in Mortal Kombat? You have
Right.
Ronda Rousey in the previous one. So again, things change, things evolve, and obviously people move to other projects. Some people leave, some people stay. Um, but it's great that even though there's not right the like the also or the communities, right, the people that started this, because they obviously they're the one that started this. This is giving opportunity to
Hmm.
people like you to be part of something big like
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
Chad, I'm going to ask you something, and let us know if you can or you can't
Sure.
because of any contract that you may have. But this scans that they did, can they use it in the future projects?
Yeah. So that's one thing I don't get any. So it's a one time. It was a one time payment, and it was in perpetuity. So technically, they do own my likeness. Now, obviously, I own my own. I can do whatever I want.
Hmm.
But no, technically, they can use it forever. Um, so yeah,
That's very interesting
that is one
about
thing that I gave up.
this
Yeah.
all AI and this all
Yeah.
strikes, and then
Yeah.
really interesting.
I think
Let's
that
see
at some
what.
point they just probably lost, and this is me just speculating, right? And this is me, the back of my brain talking. Um, so probably in the past they lost maybe some actors and people that use their face in the game, that they just want to make sure that for the future of these games they still have the same faces so they can create a consistency in design
Sure.
and the art of the games, but also a good thing for them to do is percentage for these people.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
retrospect.
Especially a game that sell millions of dollars.
Uh-huh.
It will be nice,
Yeah.
especially when, for example, Quan Chi is a paid character. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And
just,
look, man, again,
um,
it's not that I did do this knowingly. By the time we got around to when I actually got to the studio, I was signing the very last contract. Then I learned that I was going to be Quan Chi, and um, but look, I mean, I knew this. It was all in the contract. I think a few years ago, I didn't. We weren't thinking about this stuff in the same way that we are now. With all
mhm,
this in perpetuity language. Look, I needed to pay my rent, so I
mhm,
was like, all right, but also like, yeah, but like I said, it's both of those
mhm.
things.
What's your advice to those that want to be in a video game industry, or in the movie industry, or in the podcast industry?
Oh man, what's my advice? Wow. I mean, I don't want to sound too basic or whatever, but
Uh
you
huh.
just gotta keep doing what you like doing, and like whether or not you, yeah, you just have to cultivate the stuff that you love, and
That's the most important thing.
sometimes it takes a back seat and other stuff gets in the way, but you just can't let that like inner child go away, and you always have to. I think I have always like consistently sort of redefine, like, what does success mean to you? Like it like, what does it really mean? You have to really think about what your goals are. I'm not saying you have to sit there and like make like a plan, like that, but I'm just saying like,
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, and just, I don't know, like, this is probably very standard stuff, but it's look, man, I just turned 40, like I've been doing this for a really, really long time in some way or another, but I love it all, but I'm also just like, it is really hard, like we all make sacrifices to do lots of stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
these sorts of, careers in particular, there's no like roadmap, it's not like you get like a degree and that you get a guarantee that, you know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
just not how this stuff works. So also, one thing I wish someone had told me, I think a lot of us as artists, sometimes we feel like if if we don't do art all day, every day, we're not real artists. And if we have like a day job or something, then we're not like really doing it. That to me is kind of a bullshit delusion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the vast majority of us create stuff that are creators of any kind or performers. Like a lot of us have, we do other shit for money, and it's like, okay, and if you're fortunate enough to like be in a position to make that your everything, then yeah, obviously like that's great, but like don't let that, I feel like I have, I myself have been somebody, and I have a lot of friends maybe who feel like just because they weren't able to like do it full time, then that means that they're not a real artist, and I that stuff, I feel very, very strongly and passionately about that, like you just do it because that's what you do, and whether or not you make money from it or whatever, like that'll come later, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shahjehan. Any message for the Game Vengers community and the people from Latin America and Puerto Rico?
Oh man, just thanks, thank you guys for thank you all for like having me on. I think we were talking a little bit before the podcast started about how I really truly feel like a guest, in these communities. Sometimes it started with probably like feeling like a bit of a fraud or like an imposter, like, oh my God, like I'm here, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I just really appreciate everybody's kindness, because yeah, it means a lot. So thank you.
Are you active on social media?
Yeah. If you
Where
just,
can people find you?
yeah, basically Instagram is the best
Mhm.
way to find me. It's super easy. It's at Shahjehan. That's Shahjistan at Shahjehan. You can just follow me there and see all the random stuff I'm doing.
Right, and we're gonna put that on the description of
Sure.
this video in our
Sure.
platform, so people can go follow Shahjehan and see what's coming up. What's
Yeah.
the next thing for him, and also that next big project that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So again, people can follow. You have very interesting thing, and also listen to your music.
Mhm.
And where you gonna be next? Shahjehan, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
We
guys.
really appreciate it. We both in the Game Vengers community and the gaming community of Puerto Rico and Latin America really appreciate you coming here and talking to us and telling us about your story and your projects and talking about video games, movie, and all that. So I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down here. I know sometimes people are busy or you just
No, no, man.
came from.
It's really an honor for me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Game Vengers, nos vemos en la próxima.